but I had been watching her and what she was able to do at we have a monthly alternative called Metro Times here in Detroit. And her ability to kind of transform what we were able to see in the pages of Metro Times really stuck out to me. I didn't know she was Black until I saw a picture of her, but the fact that she was Black and that she was a woman and that she was young really resonated to me. And I approached her. She connected with me immediately. She wasn't like the stuffy other editors or writers at Metro Times, but she was really excited to connect with me, and I really appreciated that. We established a relationship. She has now moved on and works at another publication. I'll let you tell her that. But I'm so glad, Alex, that we established our relationship early.
Yeah, I am too. It's crazy how it all worked out. It's so crazy. It went really quickly.
It did.
But I love it.
How important, especially in this market, Alex, how important is forming relationships with your editors in media outlets?
You know what? I think it's not even just editors. It extends to your colleagues as well. I feel like for me personally, a lot of the jobs, like, yes, I have the skill, yes, I have the education, but most of the jobs I've gotten have come from my relationships with other people. And I feel like when you form that relationship, especially with your editor, first, I believe everybody needs a mentor. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how long you've been in a situation. I feel like everyone needs a mentor. Everyone needs like that peer best friend, right? Because I feel like the best journalists know a little bit about everything and all about nothing. You cannot be linear and you can't be stale. That's how you like pigeonhole yourself, and that's why a lot of people don't grow, because they feel like, I found my niche, this is it. And it's like, no, like things change, technology change. Who is helping teach you and lead you down this path? Like, everyone needs somebody. When it comes to fostering those relationships with editors, it's so important because feedback is the only way you know how to be better.
Bam.
And I think sometimes people get so caught up because we feel like we're so good at it and that we just nailed it, that having someone who can tell us, okay, that's good, but you can do better. Like, having someone who can push you and guide you and really just help you like craft what you need to say. Because I definitely know there have been times when I thought I submitted something that was just not going to be, edited, it was good to go, and then next thing you know, you see all of the red marks, and it's like, okay, maybe I should reel it back in a little bit. But it's so important to just have those relationships, because I feel like in life, teaching goes beyond school. And we're constantly learning, we're constantly using what we know.
Especially as a journalist.
Other people. Listen, it was funny to me listening to you speak, and you're talking about the differences between like journalism 25 years ago and journalism now. It's like, for me, I was taught during the transitional wave, right? So I was in college between 2007 and 2012, where digital was really starting to form itself, and what digital news looked like and what journalists look like.
Yes.
And for me, in the beginning, because I've been studying journalism since I was like 14, like back in high school. And it was like, we were always taught, journalists, we have to be flat. We can't have any personality. You're not supposed to show anything. But that's changed. A lot of our interactions now come off of us being people. People want to know the people behind the story.
Yes.
So it's very interesting navigating that, but a lot of times navigating that comes with us having other people walking us down this path to help teach us. I feel like older journalists can definitely teach younger journalists a lot on how to properly research something, how to use a book, because so many of us are used to the internet. But then the younger, we like, hey, we know social media because it's what we adapted to using every day, so we can teach them that. So I feel like everyone needs each other, and definitely just fostering relationships will open far more doors than you to everything. Your education keeps you in the room, but who gets you in the door.
How have you, in this post-pandemic world, been able to stay connected? What do? Do you just send email? I mean, what is your system?
So that's so funny. My system is actually social media.
social media?
I used to be one to constantly send emails and like, hey, just want to check in with you. But I, especially once I gained the editor role, realized how fast inboxes move and how quickly things get lost very easily. So social media for me, like I crafted my channels in a way I want you to feel like you know me. I want you to feel like I'm your homegirl. I want you to just feel like we're in this space together. And then a lot of times those posts turn into DMs with other people, turn into conversations, and that's how the rapport gets going because people already feel like they know you. They feel like they know a little piece of you. It got to the point for me where I could post something and then maybe a few weeks later I'll get somebody like, hey, I saw you posted these blue pants 3 weeks ago. I found these green ones I think you might like, and now we're getting coffee. Like, it's one of those things where social media has been as much of a curse and as much as people talk about the weight, it's really the easiest way to network and get to know people, and it doesn't have to always be like a facade. It doesn't always have to feel fake or feel phony because we get to see what people are interested in and we can just bounce off of those interests and use it to foster and grow these relationships. But for me, like even me getting hired at Metro Times, I saw the posting on Twitter, but I already had a rapport with the editor-in-chief of Metro Times because we had recently started following each other online. We had already talked about doing pitches. Nice. So a lot of me getting that job had to do with what I was already posting online, how it was already posted on my social media, and that translated into a job for me.
So, I mean, you're a native Detroiter. You stayed here. You actually have an active career in journalism in Detroit. How is it possible, especially for people that are outside of the city and they're saying they got to go to New York, Atlanta, LA to pursue journalism? What does your say about that?
Okay, that's the thing that gets brought up to me all the time. For me, one of the biggest things about staying here was it was situational at first. A thing that we cannot deny is that journalism is an industry of privilege. That is what it has shifted to. A lot of times it comes to getting you can get a job elsewhere, but do you have the funds? Are they paying you enough to be able to cover rent in that city? Or do you have transportation? After graduation, I had no intent on staying in Detroit. My plan was to actually move out west and go to California. And that's not how the cards worked out for me. For years, I started working here. When I realized I wasn't leaving, I'm like, okay, we're going to make the best of this situation. I had started a blog years ago and I was talking about like the Detroit music scene, who was doing what. And at the time, there was a little up-and-coming rapper named Big Sean who was posting and doing all of this stuff. So those are the types of people I would talk about, who I would talk to. So your Big Seans, your Wiz Khalifa's, all these people who are bubbling, who are coming through Detroit, who are now people who I couldn't even imagine. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to ever get a $10 concert from you again. Like, those days are long gone. But it really was, instead of looking at the glass as half empty, looking at it as half full. When I started really getting involved in the city and I started realizing just how much culturally Detroit has here, the people we have here, like now I can't imagine leaving. You're going to have to pry me out of Detroit to get me to leave because there's so much happening here. And I feel like as this whole renaissance, I feel like a lot of eyes are on Detroit. I feel like now is the time. If you're thinking about coming here, you should probably get in now before you can't afford to anymore. Culturally, it's a very rich city, from the music to like gospel scene, even just the journalists that Detroit has created. It's like, why would I not want to be a part of that? Like, I don't think I could ever denounce Detroit because it literally has made me who I am. And now it's like, instead of me complaining, like a big push for me to go into journalism full time was that I didn't like what was being reported here. I didn't like how stories were being told. I felt like Detroit is so much more than what we see on Crime in the D and Metro Detroit News. Like, there's so much more happening. There are people who have like these businesses, there's these cafes, there's these bars. Like, there's so much culturally
movements, yes.
And it's like, I could tell those stories. That's the point. Like, I need to tell those stories because the Detroit that people see is not the Detroit I know. And I feel like Bottega Veneta did a whole fashion show here for Fashion Week. There's a reason they picked Detroit. There's a reason all of these things are happening. There's a reason the NFL draft is here next year. Like, these aren't by chance. These aren't by like, oh, pity. Like, no. And Detroiters are very proud people. So I love this. Like, everybody's a celebrity here. It's great.
No, you know what's so amazing about that shift is that you have really been a part of that in your own, in your own way. And even though you've only been a journalist for a very short amount of time, you've made such an impact. Was that just strategic, Alex, the way that you've moved in this industry? Is it by happenstance, or can you be strategic in how you plan out your career?
It's definitely a mix of both. I think for me in the beginning, especially when I had my own blog and I'm trying, it was like I didn't know who to talk to. It wasn't like I was constantly out in the beginning. I wasn't constantly going to clubs. I wasn't like, that scene was just not for me. So I had to find my lane. I had to find my people, and I had to put myself out there to start befriending these, gallery owners, these different artists, like all of these people. So once those seeds were planted, when it came time for me to start thinking my career, a lot of things became like full circle moments. Like those random people that you may have brushed past at an event became employers. They became referrals for me. They became assignment editors for me. So it was a mix of strategy, prayer, and I think determination, because I was so determined to not fail. Like, if it's gonna work, it's gonna work. When I decided to jump in full time to do journalism, because I kind of did freelance, I kind of nickel and dime like around for most of the years. It was during the pandemic. I was actually working at a supply chain company. I actually got to a point where I was like, journalism just isn't going to be for me full time. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go into like customs borders and do like logistics, because I like that.
Thank God you didn't do that.
It turned into I had prayed and I was like, I need a sign. If this is what I'm supposed to do, let me know. And the next day, the VP of our company got laid off, and it was starting to trickle who was getting fired. And I was like, if that's not a sign, I'm going to take it. And I just jumped feet first into it. And again, a lot of the people, like the first few stories I wrote about, were people who I had built these relationships with over the last 10 years. So it's like, hey, you have these event companies, you have this plant shop, you're doing this. And it really put me, because I'm such a Detroiter, where it's like I'm putting the community back into these pages, because that's what was missing. We weren't talking enough about the people who are actually doing it. We can talk about the big people all day, but there's so many little people who are really moving and really implanting and really affecting what's going on.
Absolutely.
So that was a really big deal, to be able to have the power and to do that, and the support, because that was also really important for me. A lot of people are surprised, like, oh, you're going there, and I'm like, I mean, yeah, but my voice is stifled. I have the support that I need, and those are two very important things for me.
That leads me into, what is your new job? What are you doing now? Where are you?
Okay, so I'm at Outlier Media, which I am so excited to be here. Like, it was totally by chance. When I saw the job posting, I was like, I'll apply. I didn't really have any intent on leaving Metro Times as soon as I did. That was just something that worked itself out. So I'm an audience engagement manager at Outlier Media, which is basically putting me in the same position that I kind of did at Metro Times, but a little bit more technical. Okay. So I'm definitely going to be growing the audience, just getting their name out there more, creating space for them in the digital space, as well as getting them more in the community. So I'm really excited about that, because it gives me even more of a reason to be outside and be with people. But I am really looking forward to everything that we can do, because it's such a small media startup, but the potential is it's so great. And then I love everybody who works here, so it just makes it even better for me.
I had never heard of Outlier until they called me right after you were hired, and I don't know how God has worked that out. But I had heard of Erin. Obviously, I knew who she was, but I just didn't know, about it. About the publication and the fact that they're in Tech Town. So just tell me a little bit about the outlet, and then I promise I'll let you go.
So Outlier Media is a community-centered, a community-focused journalism organization. If you look at what they post, which the website is outliermedia.org, a lot of the things that they post are is deeper than what traditional journalism may get, right?
Yes.
So you may look at a newspaper, you may hear, oh, the water bills or the Detroit Water Department is adjusting the way that your bill is read. That's great, but what does that mean? At Outlier, they'll have it laid out for you. There'll be a guide, there'll be a story, and it'll say, like, this is how to read your new water bill. Or they may say, hey, they're adding a bus route for students. At Outlier, we're going to say, these are the exact steps that you need to take to be able to get your students back and forth to school. We also do a lot of community stuff. There are different sectors underneath the Outlier umbrella. One of those is Detroit documenters. Their job is literally to document Detroit. They go to the council meetings. They go to the school board meetings. They are writing these minutes and telling you everything that people are talking about in these meetings. And then they take that and they put it in a way that you can understand it. So it's very transparent. It's very much about the community, and the community helps determine what news we talk about. We have a text message SMS system where you can reach out, sign up online, talk to the system, like, this is what you want to know more about, and a reporter is going to look into it for you. So we are currently revamping it, and we're getting ready for the big relaunch of that. So that's getting ready to happen too.
I love that.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things. Like, one of the guys online is how to start. Like, it's very much the Detroiters and Detroit friendly outlet. Like, Detroiters run this outlet. We just help shape it up and clean it up for them. But I love it here. It's very much a mix. It's at the intersection of nonprofit and journalism. And we have some of everyone working here. It's very diverse. It's a healthy place to be.
I love it. And I love to be able that I'm going to be there just a little bit of time with you. So I'm going to let you go because I know they're celebrating new employees today at lunch. But thank you, Alex. I appreciate you.
So much.
I will see you very soon. Thank you.
We'll talk. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, guys, for joining me today. I know it's only one of you left, but I appreciate you coming to me and spending time with me today. And I will see you next week. Thank you.